pretty sure that this is Reno Lock from LovelyChook, unless somehow they were able to change their decks. But we have the Patron Warrior on the side of Zhangbo here.
Yeah, and Jumbo had a moment of displeasure written on his face just
Right.
uh, a moment ago.
Yeah, this is not a good matchup for the Patron Warrior. Again, it looks like Zoo, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Unless something crazy happened. It is going to be the OTK variant, as you see the Shadow Flame. There you go. The OTK variant of Reno Lock here from LovelyChook, and this is not a good matchup for Patient Warrior at all. So you can see why Zhangbo was a bit displeased with how this first matchup came to be.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking that Jumbo could have queued his jury into it, but he might be thinking, oh, there's Shaman in uh, LovelyChook's lineup, so I might as well go with Patron Warriors. And there's a jury, so there's 2/3 a chance that he gets a good matchup, but very unfortunate for him that the rest of 1/3 happened as it is in this game.
Right. We have a question from the chat. It is Zhangbo on the top and LovelyChook on the bottom. As you can see, his nice newbie jacket there. But Zhangbo actually going with attack onto this Imp King boss, wants to split it up a bit before his Acolyte hits the field. Unfortunately, going to be a nice clean kill with his Defender of Argus hitting the field. And if you guys are unaware why the Reno has such a good time with Patron Warriors, because they have so many answers in their entire deck to deal with all the mid-range threats and all that other stuff that typically is in Patron Warrior nowadays. And on top of that, they have several forms of AoE to be able to clear things like patrons. They have the Shadow Flame, they have the Hellfire, and sometimes they even have ways to take out single targets, like Dark Bombs, etc. Even the Twisting Nether potentially, and also Demon Wrath, just to throw out the last one, just to complete the list, right? But it looks like we have Sir Finley Murgleton coming out here. What he's going to be looking... Actually, Priest and Mage are both pretty good here. Does go with the Mage to get that guaranteed... First of all, he gets to ping this off, but he also gets to guarantee be able to proc patrons in the future. Priest, the reason why you go for Priest is because you can heal up patrons after they've been procced, and it makes it much harder to deal with them, but Mage definitely makes sense as well.
Yeah, I mean, spawn heal up patron doesn't really matter in this matchup because most of the time, if your opponent's going to kill the ball, they don't care about how much health you patrons have because, with the exception of Demon Wrath, basically all the AoE can deal 3 or more damage. So that's definitely something to consider. And Fire Blast really makes Execute very OP here.
Yeah, exactly. Fire Blast and Execute is a pretty ridiculous combination, right? Basically a 3-mana Assassinate, and that card would be played in most decks, I would imagine, if that were a thing. But it looks like the Deathbite coming out here. I like the Lothar, by the way, from LovelyChook. Obviously, I mean, maybe he could have read into the fact that patrons are coming out, but even if you suspect that there wasn't, it definitely makes sense to go for that Lothar as quickly as possible so that you can essentially, you tempo your opponent out in this way, right? Sometimes you want Lothar in the not Lothar, Lotheb, excuse me, not the Polish man, but you want Lotheb in a situation where you can basically tempo your opponent out by preventing them from playing spells. But in this particular case, I mean, just playing him on the board allows you to get that tempo in the first place, so no sense in kind of leaving it back. Zhangbo has a pretty decent clear here, but he's kind of running out of time in this sense. He's down to 15 health already, and as obviously he doesn't have that armor up, can only really utilize the armor smith going forward. In the meantime, LovelyChook is just piling on the pressure. Doesn't even really need to play defensively and clear his opponent's board because he has just more stuff right now.
Yeah, but he should be thinking about he might have some flashback about killed by patrons in the old days.
Right,
and
the frothing berserker, right? I mean,
yeah, and Dr. Boom is one of the things that does it for the patron warriors. So he must
right.
play a little bit safe, and I mean,
I feel like you're not. I mean, the thing is, in the olden days, you your opponent would specifically set up kills with the Frothing Berserker, right? So they have a hand set up that they've been working at for a long, long time, and then they finally are able to kill you with Frothing Berserker, right, off of the Orson Commander. But in this case, it's very unlikely that Zhangbo specifically kept, you know, tools to kill your opponent via Frothing Berserker in this case. So it's probably better off to not play too defensively. If you go for that Implosion, you might not kill it anyway. If you go for the Siphon Tool, that's something you're not saving for, a bigger minion later. So just get this Dr. Boom out and you should be fine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the reason that you play this way, and I think it's my choice.
Going to actually slam his Frothing Berserker so that he can get more battle rages out. Unfortunately, he just picked up Execute, so that's a bit unfortunate for him. And it looks like he might just go, speaking of Zhangbo, might just go for a couple of battle rages and slam this Frothing Berserker into the Dr. Boom. But I imagine if you're LovelyChook here, you're perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess you're not fine with
it's
six
not.
cards being drawn right now. That's kind of that's kind of frustrating, right? But looks like it's going to be a coin into a ping, and this Dr. Boom is likely going to go down. So for all his troubles, Zhangbo is able to basically gain more cards than his opponent has right now. Twisting Nether comes in hand if LovelyChook ever really, really needs it, potentially. I mean, you can maybe even use it on, one minion if you totally need to take out a Grom, for instance. By the way, double Sludge Belcher in the hand of Zhangbo here. Pretty crazy to see. I mean, we haven't seen something like a Shredder yet. It'd be interesting to see if he runs double Shredder as well.
Is there any crazy lethal? I don't think. Yeah, he has already used 2 mana to tap, so just play safe. Use better.
Right. In the hand right now, he has 10 damage. So there wasn't, especially with the boom, but it had to hit the face afterward anyway. So you might as well just go with this Thorson. By the way, this is the OTK variant of Rena Lock here from LovelyChook. So he'll be looking to try to finish out the game if he ever gets the chance. But looks like it's just going to be an Inner Rage and Execute. Not too painful for Zhangbo to do that since he did draw so many cards prior to that turn. And what do you do here for LovelyChook? You're not really in danger of dying. You just saw an Inner Rage, so even if you think there's a Grom, it's probably not likely. The most damage, even if your opponent somehow has Grom Inner Rage after that, is going to be 12 plus 4 is 16, so really almost impossible for you to die here. You can kind of just tap away. But, I mean, this board, I guess, can get a bit shaky. And one thing you are a bit worried about is Lotheb, because then you might... there could be a tempo turnout from Zhangbo, right, where, if you tap here, you play defense, or not play defense, you play greedily, and then your opponent plays a Lothar, but then kills you with Grom the next turn. That could be a bit of an issue. But, all that notwithstanding, it's kind of hard to navigate this turn. There's just so many... I mean, you have all this pre-removal that you don't want to use in this tiny board.
Yeah, and this play is actually really good. I was thinking Hero Power and Implosion on the Armor Space, but the LovelyChook knows how his Implosion will roll. So
I do like this play by LovelyChook, though. It seems like a bit wasteful using Siphon Tool on the Sludge Belcher, but the other big minions in the deck of the Patron are going to be Dr. Boom and Grom, both of which you can just kill with Big Game Hunter. And if you really need to use, removal, if you really need to remove even just a single minion, it can be that Twisting Nether as well, which is only 7 mana now. So I think I like that move by LovelyChook. Doesn't want to take any chances. He's pretty far ahead in this game.
yeah, and he actually have something like a Power Overwhelming and Abusive Surgeon as well to buffer that Shadow Flame target. So he's on the top of the game.
Yep, exactly. So the one thing that I think Zhangbo has to do here is hope he gets Lotheb at a really good time. I think that's really his only case here. He's going to go for a patient play, but it's not really going to work. And yeah, just going to be a ping as well as a whirlwind. This is basically just desperation from Zhangbo. I mean, LovelyChook hasn't really drawn that many cards. He's drawn a few, but not nearly as many as Zhangbo has here. So doesn't really... I mean, there could be an outside chance that this board sticks, but we do know that LovelyChook has literally 3 ways to take care of this board.
Yeah. And this
The problem is there's no
motorcycle.
follow-up, though. There's no follow-up at all. In fact, he's looking at that twisting nether saying, I might as well use my most expensive removal here, right? Because I'm not doing else anyway. So I kind of okay with this. The only problem with using twisting nether now, though, is that you really don't have a way to kill something or kill a single minion this way.
I mean, it could be some kind of bluff. Oh, your opponent may say, "Oh, he used special nether instead of hellfire. Maybe he doesn't have hellfire. Let's make another bounty patron, and you can use hellfire at the time, and your opponent just basically just get wrecked with hellfire." So that's definitely one of the reasons. And talking about follow up, I don't know exactly how much cards they have drawn, but I feel that actually Zhangbo has drawn more cards
Yeah, he's
than
drawn a ton of cards. He's had Acolyte of Pain. He had double three draw from the battle rages. So I'm pretty sure he's drawn more. Interesting situation here for LovelyChook. He could have had lethal, I believe, if there wasn't a Sludge Belcher sitting in the way. So there's actually a decent amount of damage here. You saw Jumbo hit the face here this last turn. So 3 damage, to the face, obviously, of LovelyChook there. There is 8 damage on the board. Well, 9 if you consider the hero power. If there's some sort of whirlwind, it could be a lot. For instance, something like a Grom whirlwind is a ton of damage. So LovelyChook is kind of counting all of that and trying to make sure he doesn't, die to any of this sort of stuff. Looks like he's leaning toward using that Hellfire plus Mortal Coil here. If he does so, I don't... Let's see, he actually dies to Grom Inner Rage, but I think he's seen both, perhaps. And looks like he's leaning toward that Dark Bomb just so he doesn't die to anything crazy. This does save him. Okay, we're gonna go for a quick discovery here. He says, hurry up! Okay, goes for the Shield Bearer, put him on the field, okay, go! But a bit of a rush play there from LovelyChook. The Shield Bearer is just going to die. He wasn't really in danger of dying to Grom Inner Rage, so he didn't really need to play the Shield Bearer, but I suppose better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it will be 2 off if it's a Grom in the range, but
Well, 1 off. 12
oh,
plus
1 off
12
is
plus 4.
the slime also does damage.
That slime is always the death of you, right? But what do you do if you're Zhangbo here? Very difficult turn. You really need to just, plan these turns out so carefully so that you can catch your opponent off guard and maybe tempo them out of the game or something. I mean, if you're LovelyChook, you're looking for Reno. You're looking for any sort of heal here to get back and keep yourself out of range of anything sort of crazy here. But for Zhangbo, this could be your only chance. So how do you go about this turn?
I would like to play Temple Patron and try to draw some cards. Perhaps with that. Actually, I prefer Acolyte because you have Pin now, so that's actually very stable resource of playing cards. And now...
So yeah, this is an interesting play from Zhangbo, right? Because he goes for the Grom, which means that it has to be procced in order to get BGH. However, LovelyChook has kind of an interesting play here that I think would be pretty viable. You go for the Bran into the Twilight Drake, and then you double abusive the Grom, and then you BGH it kind of manually, right? So that would be pretty interesting. I think he is going to go for it, looks like.
Yeah.
You play the Twilight Drake first, yeah. You just make sure you have the mana right. Make sure you definitely have the mana right, or else you really regret this, right? So yeah, definitely he's going to go for that play. Going to be really good turn for him. Gets a 4/13 on the board as well as some more threatening minions. And look at the look on Zhangbo's face. He is like, wow, really? That turn was insane.
Yeah. On Enrage. Oh, that's on Rage the
Wow.
ground
And
picking out.
yeah,
By the
Zhangbo
BJ.
just concedes there. So, game 1 goes over to LovelyChook. Not too much of a surprise that he was able to take the win considering the decks. However, and that game was really well played, honestly. I mean, you saw Zhangbo just really navigating each turn carefully and making sure to put the most pressure on his opponents possible, making it as annoying as possible for LovelyChook. And LovelyChook, on the other hand, really fending off everything possible and making sure he was never in a spot where he could get killed by some sort of crazy sequence of plays, be it, loath of Integrom or something like that, and really just making sure he, delegated his removal very, very carefully. I think very well played by both players there.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, you brought up things about decks, and we actually might see that a Druid mirror in Game 5 because um, for both players, their remaining decks other than Druid are pretty good against Druid, so that's definitely a possibility there. But actually, Twitter is thinking really hard about what they could have done there, and
Yeah, I think they played as well as you could possibly have played. I mean, LovelyChook, he was thinking about all the possibilities that he could die, and really realizing that he is the favorite in that matchup, and trying to make sure that nothing can happen to him. Whereas Zhangbo was just trying to find some way to get in, and I think he did as best he could, honestly, just to make things as annoying as possible for LovelyChook there. But yeah, definitely was a very well played game overall. And funny Tiddler, I think he's having much more fun with this than the last game where he was really rooting for his teammates and kind of pupil to move on.
yeah, that's definitely true and interesting that LovelyChook is moving away. As we'll see.
Yeah, abusive can be pretty nice if you see an armor smith on turn one. However, you really want to see something like that tunnel trog. You're mulliganing. I mean, especially going second, you can basically mulligan into a totem golem as well. So I do kind of like the mulligan here from LovelyChook. Definitely makes sense. I think on this turn one, he might have to go for double one drop here, and just try to put as much pressure on as possible and hope that you don't get fireworks down.
Yeah, X is definitely not aggro that want to see on turn 2, or you actually don't want to see it forever. So,
Don't have a fireworks ever, please. Yeah, so, wow. So, after this fireworks, there's going to be an armor smith as well. If there was only armor smith, then I think LovelyChook was perfectly fine with that. He just goes and crackles it, and he's on his merry way. However, that is a fireworks, and so he's going to just have to tone him up here. And
no.
gets the spell damage on him, which is what you want later in the game, but right now, like you mentioned, he does want that taunt instead. So yeah, gonna be this armor smith and an inner rage. Wants to save this fireworks for something a bit bigger. He could have actually attacked and maybe saved the inner rage for an execute, but he might be able to play his No Motion Venture as well as accenting down next turn. So definitely makes sense here.
Yeah, I think actually LovelyChook could go for Crackle into this armor smith because it's just too big a nuisance to deal with, and it can bring you a lot of trouble in the stage of the game. For Nimurgan is basically unplayable in this matchup.
Yeah, you're not allowed. You don't want anything other than warrior. You might try to go for priest, but that's very, very risky. Although, I mean, a 1 in 8, and all the permutations, you're basically around a 30-ish% chance to get it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you don't want to do it. You don't want to take that chance. You want as much armor as possible. And for LovelyChook, just getting all the spells, really not working out for him right here. And
yeah,
you don't want to do anything, right? You want to start using your Doomhammer next turn, which means you can't overload, and you don't want to use your Rockbiter because that goes great with the Doomhammer. So I think you just hit the face and totem up and do nothing here, as bad as it feels.
Yeah, I was actually talking about last game that he should have probably go Crackle to the face, but I mean, there's a reason he did not to.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. Wow, hits for 6 on the second one. Although that is only the second highest. But yeah, a lot of damage coming in the face. Doesn't make sense for LovelyChook. He says, okay, as long as I'm going to be overloading myself, I might as well double overload myself. and he can play potentially Doomhammer the turn following. But now we have a taunt coming in the way with this Dread Corsair, and honestly, this is anyone's game right now. It's going to be on, Zhangbo to hold off his opponent, and in the near future, probably he's going to have to start racing his opponent, otherwise he's going to take too much damage. But yeah, thus far it's looking okay for both players. They both have an avenue to victory, but this is kind of on pins and needles right now. Second Doomhammer is not really what I want to see right now, though.
Not at all, and you can even play that Lava Burst because you really should be playing Doomhammer next turn. So
Do you use Rockbiter here? Because think about it, if you use Doomhammer next turn, you're throwing your face into this Dread Corsair twice, unless you use Rockbiter, right? And basically by doing this, you allow yourself to get 4 damage to face afterward. And you might save up a mana as well. I guess you're losing out on 1 damage because you could just Doomhammer plus Rockbiter, but you're saving yourself 6 damage. Or at least 3 damage.
that's definitely true. And
So I do like the Rockbiter here. It seems weird with the Doomhammer in hand, but if you look at the logistics of it, if you don't use Rockbiter now, it just ends up getting really awkward the following turn. As we see, Argent Horse come in hand, and now the Doomhammer smacking will begin. I highly doubt there's a Harrison Jones in this deck for Zhangbo, so yeah, this could be just the beginning of the end if LovelyChook is able to wail away with impunity.
and there might well be the possibility because what's that? Oh, I was going to say there isn't any way for Jumbo to deal any damage and draw cards from this kind of thing, but
Caster's Curse, right?
Yeah.
Caster's Curse. So this is awkward. Looks like he's gonna go for a very risky play here, trying to get double healing. Gets the Druid. So he does get double healing this turn, but he's going to get half healing from now on. On the other hand, he is able to race his opponent slightly better with his Druid Hero powers, so overall it's decent. Alright, we see the Ancestral Knowledge come into the hand of LovelyChook. Wonder if he goes for that now. He will be severely overloaded if he does so. He'll be at most 6 mana next turn unless he gets a Lava Shock. And, whoa, there's a Lava Shock. That is absolutely huge here. And you could go for Lava Shock right now just for free and then play out this Argent Horse Rider. I think you go for the Argent Horse Rider?
I don't think you.
Oh, you save it because you have the Abuser Sergeant, right? So yeah, this is looking really bad for Zhangbo now. Needs to pick up an Armorsmith right here, I believe. And even if he does, he needs Armorsmith plus some sort of something to whirl in his guys. It's not looking good.
I mean, best case scenario, shield block into.
Right, but I don't think he's running shield block based on the fact that he has 2 Sludge Belchers. But he is 1 damage out of range, so maybe he might be able to take this. And this Argent Horse Rider plus Abusive combo costs 4 mana, so it's going to be needing to be something cheap. There's Sir Finley Murgleton. I think you lead with that. Wait, no, you don't, because... Wait, crap. I think... Did LovelyChook just lose? Because he doesn't have enough mana. He needs 7 mana here.
You need 7 mana. And,
yeah.
You try to get Totem and Hero Power. No. How about Druid Hero Power?
Druid Hero Power is only 2. Abuse is adding 2. This is adding 2. Yeah, I don't. He's looking for Rockbiter, I believe. Yeah, he's gonna go for a Rockbiter pickup. Gets Eternal Trog, and that's going to be game over to Zhangbo. Lives by 1 health here. This is pretty crazy here, and Zhangbo is going to take this game and tie the series 1-1. Let's look at his reaction as he realizes it. Wow, he is so relieved to see that.
Yeah, because if you lose, you're going to lose the relative. You're probably going to lose eventually. So pretty good for Zhangbo there. Actually, I think LovelyChook could have gone for Priest, but
I don't believe so because there was a lot of damage on board. He was at 8 health, I believe, and there was 3 from the Acolyte, 4 from the Despite, plus around 6 from everything else. So yeah, it was just not a great position for him to be in at that time. And we are going to go into game number 3. Zhangbo has Druid and Warlock remaining. Keep in mind, we have not seen this Druid yet, so we don't know if it's aggro Druid or not. He is one of the only players to bring aggro Druid to the group stages, so he might have gone back. That we will have to see for ourselves. LovelyChook, on the other hand, has Shaman and Druid left, so we'll see how this pans out.
We will see in the.
One thing to keep in mind for Zhangbo is that the Zulok that he has is pretty decent against both the decks of LovelyChook. So we might see him lead out with that first, and then go with the Druid later. The Druid, if it's aggro, does a pretty decent job as well. But we do see that it's going to be the Zulok of him first. Season Enhancement Mechanical. Not something you want to keep right now. Lothip is reasonable, but it's probably a bit too risky. You want as many low drops as possible, so you're allowed to play the best one at your disposal. And does get a few 2-drops for his trouble. Nothing in the hand for LovelyChook to play right now. Just gets a lot of burn spells, which is not what you want. You want to start out with those minions and then top deck the burn spells later. Unfortunately, not going to be the case right here.
Definitely not the case here. I think it's acceptable to draw burst than early than never. So.
Well, your entire deck is burst, so I think if you draw the minions first, you'll eventually draw the burst later. So there is that. In any case, let's see if this knife hits the totem golem. Does not hit the totem golem, and we might just see. Will we see a trade in here from the knife juggler? If he hits the face, he's kind of susceptible to something like a lava shock. But as it stands, if this Totem Golem hits the Knife Juggler, then there could be a Knife Juggler on the following turn, and you see the Honda Creeper, bash in and potentially kill off some stuff. So, reasonable to hit the face here for Zhangbo. Wants to put the pressure onto his opponent. And this matchup is all about the early game and who can secure the board. If the Shaman can secure the board and that allows them to get a few shots to the face, then they can use the burst to finish the opponent off. Whereas if you're the Zoo, as long as you secure the board, you have the board now and the Shaman's kind of futilely throwing stuff at your face, and meanwhile you have more damage because you just have minions.
That's definitely true. And one of the reasons that you don't trade, because you have this abuse resurgence, and if you trade, that battle cry is basically wasted. Yeah.
Ooh, are we gonna see the power overwhelming? How greedy is Zhangbo going to go here? He could power overwhelming this Hana Creeper into this tunnel truck and try to fling these knives. How good are these knives going to be? We shall see. Hits the Totem Golem, hits the face, so 50-50, pretty good, but overall, pretty good spot here for Zhangbo.
Pretty good spot, even though not optimal. And this actually is really
yeah, it's bad for LovelyChook. I mean,
intrigue was the word I was going to get. The situation for LovelyChook, he can start bursting, but his opponent is nowhere close to.
Yeah, he's at 30 health. It's a Warlock at 30 health. I mean, doesn't even need Reno Jackson, right? You're still fine. I mean, obviously this isn't a Reno Jackson deck, but yeah, no problems at all. It picks up the Void Walker, which is really nice. You're able to curve out here. I imagine we're going to see the Doomguard just throw away the Dr. Boom next turn, but things are looking pretty good for Zhangbo here.
Yeah. Ooh.
Right, that could be a lot of damage if you're able to pick up a Doom Hammer, but right now it's only burst, and yeah, I kind of like this Totem Power Pass, or Totem Pass, because you need to pick up that Doom Hammer, and that's really the only way you're going to win if you're LovelyChook here. You've fallen behind on board, you need to just burst as hard as possible. You can't really you can do this because this Big Game Hunter for every turn is a lot of damage. So I can see taking care of this Big Game Hunter, but other than that, you really just need to hope that you can draw the Doom Hammer really soon here. Oh wow, gonna commit this Rockbiter as well. He kind of figures that if he gets Doomhammer, he wants to start hitting the face. Doesn't want to throw his face twice into this Void Walker. Basically the same, theory as last time. Wow, Lothar pickup here is very nice. So it doesn't even need to worry about this spell damage totem. It doesn't need to play out the Doom Guard either. Nice, kind of an okay pickup here for LovelyChook. Gets this Arch and Horse Rider. Probably just going to hit the face. There's no reason to attack anything else. And yep, there he goes. Zhangbo, what does he do here? Does he throw away his other cards? Picks up a Dark Peddler, but yeah, I do like just using this, or throwing out this Doom Guard to, put maximum damage to face here. I mean, he's put his opponent down so low, and if LovelyChook wants to deal with this, he has to get rid of a lot of damage, and if he gets rid of a lot of damage, then he's not going to kill his opponent anytime soon. So I do like this play a lot from Zhangbo here.
But I mean, it's a lethal damage next turn, so LovelyChook must spend some. I think you roll totem first. Yeah.
Right, because you want that taunt totem.
Yeah, you want the taunt totem. And actually, I think you kill the low set because the attack value. Oh.
Right, he's doing it this way. He doesn't have the ability to Lava Burst, obviously, so gonna just free himself up for next turn. But I mean, Zhangbo just saw a lot of damage go out on his minions, and he's still at 26 health, so I don't think he's worried about this at all. Picks up an owl, not going to be too useful in the future anyway. Something like a tunnel truck can just be killed by your minions, so Zhangbo has nothing in hand, but he is way ahead in this game.
Yeah, and the benefit of silencing this taunt totem is that you are not going to see any taunt totem again with taunt.
Exactly. So it's actually a pretty good silence, to be honest, even if nothing else to do.
I think you would.
I mean, he could die is a thing, right? That's kind of the awkward part here for LovelyChook, is if he just goes face, and he could just die, which is obviously problematic. He's already seen a Doom Guard and a Power Overwhelming, so there is an argument to be made to go to face, but yeah, it's just very, very awkward and just a bad situation for LovelyChook right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you even do here? Do you silence? I mean, you could silence the Imp King boss, so nothing else comes out of it. You could silence the Void Walker. At this point, I mean, I think he's close to conceding. He just does. I mean, if this were a ladder game, he would have conceded a few turns ago. It's just looking so bad here for LovelyChook.
I mean, if it were a ladder game, I mean, he would probably try to go face a few turns ago, and instead concede. But yeah, this is very sad Shaman Ball that we used to see, and it's coming back.
Yeah, you typically, if the game has gone long enough and your hand has been that barren for this long that you've managed to accumulate all 4 totems as the aggro shaman, then things probably haven't worked out too well for you. But yeah, gonna be a Lava Burst of face, realizing that's the only way he's ever going to win this game. Potentially he could draw something like, I don't know, Ancestral Knowledge.
Ancestral Knowledge would be really great. Oh!
Yeah, there's the Enhancement Mechanic, by the way. So, Zhangbo says, I don't really care, I'm just going to go ahead and... Wait, what do you... Yeah, I think you enhance a Mechano first and then Abuse the Sergeant. You don't really care. You want to put it on whatever has the Wind Fury, right? So yeah, there you go. Do it second, and then you get a ton of damage to face. Basically, this is the Shaman 3-1 with the Wind Fury. And is that 1 damage off lethal here? Might as well just kill the 1-1 here, just to prevent any sort of craziness from happening. There's the Ancestral Knowledge, but I don't think there's anything you can pick up right here with a taunt in the way. And that is going to be it. Zhangbo is going to take game number 3, take a 2-1 lead in this series, and his Cinderella run could continue even longer. He's on match point to get to the finals.
Well, actually, I actually like the Abusive Surgeon first before the Enhanced Mechano, because they can get more pass out of it, and you're not getting it anyway, probably. So there's not guaranteed little, so that's something that can be negotiated. But Zhangbo took the win anyway, and
well, LovelyChook. Okay, just to answer that, LovelyChook, no one had seen his Shaman yet. It was banned in the last round, so there might be some random Lightning Storm tech in his deck. And that way, if you get your opponent on one and get some divine shields up, you're basically impossible. It's basically impossible to not have lethal the following turn. Whereas if he had not gone his opponent solo, then perhaps there's a random lightning storm, and your board is cleared. And then some craziness could happen after that. So I do like getting your opponent as low as possible in that sense.
Yeah, that's definitely true as well. But actually, I was going to say we are getting closer to the inevitable Druid mirror.
Not quite inevitable. We've seen Druid win this match before. I think didn't Druid win this game earlier? I think Zoro won Druid versus Shaman, right? Yeah, Magic when Shaman did not
Yeah.
win. So Druid, I mean, this seems like a bad matchup for Druid, but as long as Druid can hold off the early game, it's actually not too bad of a matchup. It feels like almost now that Druid kind of knows how to win the matchup, it feels like Face Hunter versus Druid.
Yes, it's definitely resembled of that matchup, but a very good starting hand from LovelyChook, but not so good starting hand from Zhangbo in this game.
Well, it definitely made sense for him to keep both the Innervate and the Keeper of the Grove. Those are things you want when you're facing against aggressive decks. However, he tossed away the Ancient of Lore, and Hearthstone said, no, 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 no. You want this Ancient of Lore. Let me just put that right back in your hand. Going to be using this Keeper of the Grove to get this down to a 3-2, this total goal, and try to get the board back here. But, you know, doesn't really have a follow-up after that, other than the Savage Roar potentially.
Yeah. Oh, I guess if you don't play the abusive now, then you don't. There's a chance that you don't get to play it later. And, actually, it's pretty awkward for you to play next turn. You're not getting in the photograph. So
Well,
that can be
if you have played the Lepidum, for instance, and just hit the face, then your opponent, just with their hero power, clears your board and has a 2-1 left over, which is obviously not what you want.
yeah. In other sense, that you're pretty happy to see your opponent hero power and pass. Shredder into the hand won't be too useful at this stage. You probably just kill this Lepidum. Deal 2 damage and I think go for Tunnel Truck and probably
You could just Earthshock here.
yeah you Earthshock, Tunnel Truck and crack a face.
You can't
But
do all of that.
oh you yeah.
Yeah, so going to kill off this Shade is LovelyChook and play the Tunnel Chalk on the board, hit the face with that totem goal, make his opponent's problem to have to deal with it. And there's a lot of stuff to basically buff up this Tunnel Truck. What is picked up here? Going to be Savage Roar. So it looks like he's going to Savage Roar no matter what in this situation. Definitely makes sense. You want to clear this board out before it can do anything crazy. I think a lot of players here would have, wanted to go for the Paladin Shredder, but when you can clear the board and basically gain control of the board, you're in a really good spot. Especially because, I mean, you've seen so many minions. You kind of figure at this point that your opponent's hand might be all spells, and that's exactly what we see.
Yeah, taunt them, not bad, but rolls.
Wow,
Oh,
rolls for 6 onto the face. You see Zhangbo's face there. Didn't like to see that. Going to be the Shredder coming up. Picks up a second Shredder. Not too useful at the moment, but will be able to, refill the board if he does need to do so. And for LovelyChook, he's going to want to pick up Doomhammer right now if he can do so. Gets Ancestral Knowledge, so that's nice. That's probably one of the better things you can get, but, obviously not going to be a Doomhammer right now. Does pick Doomhammer, which he can use the next turn as long as he doesn't overload himself this turn.
but other cards will overload him for sure. So I think it will be hero power and pass from LovelyChook, and Zhangbo actually could go for some cards, but
I
at
don't
this
think you risk it. I mean, you just saw your opponent draw 2 more cards. There's 4, soon to be 5 cards in the Shaman's arsenal. That's probably a lot of burst. You don't really need the cards. You have Savage Roar in hand already. If your opponent doesn't start clearing your board, you can basically just Savage Roar to a lethal here. So I do like just continuing to. I mean, you have a pretty big board here. You don't really need anything else. You already have enough burst right now. And if your opponent again starts clearing your board, then that's good for you.
It's good for you indeed. And how much damage is this from LovelyChook? He will bring Zhangbo to 20 next turn, but suppose there's a hero path from here. So he will have 10. He could be having lethal next turn, but it depends on the crackle.
Right, he only has 6 mana, so obviously the Rock Biter would be one thing he does as long as there's no taunt picked up. Wow, another heal for Zhangbo here. Exactly what he needed. And Zhangbo definitely has lethal next turn with that Savage Roar, so if LovelyChook can't pick up lethal right now, which is unlikely to be able to do, has 10 damage from that Rock Biter combined with his Doom Hammer. If he crackles for 6, even if he crackles for 6, he only has 21 damage. So he's going to have to start clearing the board or he is out of the tournament. As we have some
Not
connection
yet.
issues.
He will be playing the third place match.
Well, out of the running to win the tournament. Alright, so there's a 3.4% chance that something bad like a Doomsayer comes out of this Shredder. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
So basically Doomsayer. There's a 3.4% chance that Doomsayer comes out of this Shredder. That's basically his chance to win. Otherwise he needs to start flinging, lava bursts at the Ancient of Lores. Actually, even if he does so, it doesn't matter. He needs to double kill both Ancient of Lores, or else he's out of the tournament, I believe. And he's not aiming for that Shredder, so I believe this is going to be it. He's going to go ahead and Rockbiter himself, probably going both to the face. And that is going to be it. Zhangbo has plenty of damage to kill his opponent here. And Zhangbo, his Cinderella run continues. Can he be the Gold Series champion? He certainly made it to the finals so far. And just amazing play by him. Really good deck preparation and what he brought here. And honestly, it's just pretty crazy to see him get to the finals.